welcome to Spill the Tea, a podcast by Penang Institute where we get into the minds of individuals who break stereotypes. I'm your host, Bamei Ting. On today's episode, we are in conversation with YB Daniel Gooi Zisen, who is the Penang State Executive Councillor for Youth, Sports and Health. It's good to have you back, YB. You are our very first returning podcast guest after your last episode with us on our Chinese channel, Yichang Cha, which was recorded last year. So welcome, and we're honored to have you here today.
Thank you, Mei Ting. To all the listeners, thank you for having me. And it's always good to be back with Penang Institute to record this podcast. I'm very pleased to know that I am the first returning guest in different languages. Previously, we have done the podcast with Yi Jie under the other Chinese section with PI. So I'm happy to be back to have more interesting discussion with the Penang Institute podcast.
Yes, so today we will be diving into a slightly different topic from the last episode that you recorded with us. So I just wanted to firstly congratulate you and Penang
Thank you.
for our outstanding performance in the 21st SUKMA Games, which just ended, where we finished fourth and surpassed our target of 40 gold medals. And I must say that is a remarkable achievement. So, YB, what do you think were the key factors behind this success?
I think first and foremost, thank you for having me, and also thank you for the congratulatory message in relation to our Penang SUKMA contingent, who have just achieved a wonderful achievement, I would say, in the recently concluded 21st Malaysia Games, SUKMA, in Sarawak, whereby with the target of 40 gold medals, we are able to achieve or even surpass our originally set target and managed to achieve 41 gold medal by the end of the tournament. But I think this is a very good result, I would say. We are the number 4th state, just behind the overall champion Sarawak, behind the Wilayah Persekutuan as well as Selangor, whereby they are all big states and they have even national players and athletes within their contingent. But I'm very proud of the Penang's achievement, despite us being a very small state in terms of geographically and in terms of population size. We prove to the country and perhaps to the world that with even a small population and a small state, we can achieve wonderful results, especially in sporting events.
Okay, yeah, it's amazing, and I'm super proud being a former athlete myself. So I was wondering, how does the state plan on building this momentum to further elevate the sports landscape in Penang?
I think I would say as the SUKMA, the 21st SUKMA concluded, at the same time we felt very proud of the achievement of our athletes, but at the same time, like I shared with you earlier on, I felt the pressure as well because with the target achieved at 41 gold medal, I think I've set a very high KPI for myself in the coming 2026 SUKMA, which will be held in the state of Selangor. So with that high target, I believe we will have to work very hard, definitely, together with the Penang State Sports Council, together with all the sports association, with schools that are very important to provide us with grassroots athletes and all that. I think it is continuous effort that we must continue to support all these associations and to give chances for our athletes to shine, whether it's a domestic or perhaps an international level tournament, so that they will be able to prepare themselves well before heading for the next 2026 SUKMA that will be held in Selangor.
Okay. So with that, I know that, Penang has always churned out amazing world-class athletes. I mean, Nicole David, Lee Chong Wei, just to name a few. Of course, going all the way back, the Chung brothers and all. So in this sense, we have seen notable achievements in sports. But I must say that infrastructure plays a crucial role in sustaining long-term success. So with the state's growing ambition, in the sports arena. So many are curious about the current facilities and future plans. So could you share your thoughts on the state of sports infrastructure in Penang and how you envision improvements moving forward?
I think if you look at some of the infrastructure that are available here in Penang, pleased to say that there are some infrastructure. I mean, we are still, I would say, up to par. And in fact, at the Penang State level, we have even hosted some of the international events, like the recently concluded the FIBA 3x3 Invitational Tournament, which is, I would say, they describe it as one of the very important tournament within the 3x3 basketball scene. And I think there will be a few international events that will be taking place here in Penang as well. We are very proud that some of our sports facilities, we are able to support all this. But then again, we will have to look at how to improve our current strength in terms of infrastructure and to have more infrastructure in order for us to nurture our sporting talents in the near future, whereby I think within the interests of the state government, we are now looking more towards having a multi-purpose venue. I mean, rather than to have a venue just for a single purpose or for a single sports. There are some venues that we intend to create in order for us to cater more types of sports so that it can contribute to encourage more Penangites to be more active, and at the same time for us to develop more and more athletes that can represent not only Penang but Malaysia in a higher level.
Could you give me an example when you said a multi-purpose space just now? So you mean like a badminton hall could also be a court for a different sport? Is that what you mean?
If you look at some of the facilities, namely, I would say for example, the sports complex in Relau, it not only comprises of the badminton court, but also you have a swimming pool, you have a diving pool there as well. So that is what I mean when we said that we want to have a multiple concept or multiple purpose feature within a sporting infrastructure. I think that is a way forward so that we will be able to gather more. But then again, Penang, we in terms of land scarce, there's always a challenge for us. So we try to make use of efficient use of the land so that we can try to get more and more facilities on one side, so to encourage more people to participate in sporting events.
I see. Okay, and you also mentioned nurturing our talents just now. So, Penang's recent achievements in sports, it really highlights the importance of investing in young talents for future success. So, developing the next generation of athletes really is quite crucial for maintaining our competitive edge. Can you share what strategies are currently in place to identify and nurture young sporting talents in Penang?
I think important to say that here in Penang, I think I'm very proud to say that the Penang State Sports Council, we don't really work in silo. I mean, we have a lot of stakeholders, a lot of strategic partners that we work together. Say, for example, some of our outreach program started by my predecessor, and we are still continuing some of the outreach program by introducing some of the newer sports, and also to have introduction courses or program to attract students or the younger generation to catch up the interest to participate in that sport itself. As well as we are having this school-based talent identification program where we work very closely with the state education department through their various level of competition at the school level. Through there, we try to identify and nurture our young sporting talents here in Penang. So, like I mentioned, it is very important for us to continue our good collaboration and cooperation with all the other stakeholders, like the State Education Department, the State Sports Association, clubs, in order for us to create a healthy and encouraging platform for all the young talents to be involved in sports.
Yeah, I know. I saw that schedule of last year's, whereby this program that you just mentioned about, introducing sports to the youth, and really encouraging to see if they might be interested in certain sports. And I saw on that list a few things which I would have personally wanted to try out if I were still young enough and if I was still in school. So I think that is a great initiative, because not only does it reach out to school students, but also to the public who might want to introduce their kids to certain sports which are not like the usual like track type of sports, but more specific, like even like I saw, I think, archery, and was there even rifle, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes.
Yeah, so those I found very interesting.
But then again, if you look at the entire sports, I would say scenario, whether it's nationally or internationally, from year to year, there were new events and also sports that were introduced. Say, for example, in the recent Olympics, of course, definitely we cannot forget that the recently concluded Paris Olympics, it is the first time that the sports of breakdancing were introduced.
Right.
I'm not too sure whether it will still happen in next 2026, at the 2026 Los Angeles Olympics. But then again, squash is finally back in Olympics. So Finally, so yeah. We do anticipate that there will be newer types of sports that will be introduced, perhaps in the national level, in our local level, national level, or perhaps within the regional and international level. So these are some of the trends that we are monitoring closely. And of course, we would want to try and to encourage people to take up such a sports in order for us to have to identify talents that can participate in such a sports event. Who knows, perhaps in one day, maybe Penang, we will be able to nurture a breakdance athlete that will be able to represent us in a much higher level. Who knows?
Yeah, that would be quite cool, actually.
Yes.
Yeah. So I know that, introducing new sports is important, but also supporting talented athletes is crucial for helping them reach their full potential. Especially when financial barriers can hinder their progress. So could you share what initiatives the Penang State government has in place to offer sports scholarships or financial aid to promising athletes?
I think to the Penang State Sports Council, we are one of the few sports council that are actually providing sports scholarship, to all the state athletes that had represented Penang, at least at the SUKMA level. And this program is known as PACE, the Penang Athletes Career and Education, whereby we have scholarships and even courses that are offered free for our athletes. As long as they have represented Penang, at least at the SUKMA level, they're all entitled to apply. And in fact, through the PACE program, we are even offering scholarship programs in order to assist all these athletes to continue and to further their studies as well. And of course, we would like to thank some of the sports association. They have come and joined us in this effort, whereby even courses that are related to TVET were introduced for these athletes, because some of them that might not be too interested or too keen towards a more academic education, but perhaps we can introduce TVET so that the athletes will be able to learn something, and also to able to continue their career. If they decided not to continue as an athlete, they will still be able to have a good and advanced career path.
Yeah, I think this is super important, because I was also a beneficiary of a sports scholarship. When I entered my first degree in USM, it was through a Warga Sukan scholarship, whereby my degree was practically free. And I think that's super important and encouraging to students who are more inclined to sports. So yeah, well done. And I'm glad to hear that we have the PACE initiative right now.
Yes.
Also, moving on from the younger athletes, I feel like promoting sports at the community level also plays a vital role in fostering a healthy and active lifestyle among the public. So cutting across all ages and levels in society. So engaging people in sports not only improves overall well-being but also strengthens community bonds. How is the Penang State government working to encourage sports participation and promote a healthy lifestyle across communities?
I think one thing I felt very proud as well as blessed here in Penang is that, in fact, we have a very high community level sports participation. I would just like to share with you also recently, in my other portfolio of health, we have recently gone through the National Health and Mobility Survey 2023 that have highlighted some of the key issues whereby Malaysians in general are not really that active in, to have a active lifestyle. So in the national scene, whereby that survey comes back and tells us that despite Malaysians are not active in terms of participating in sports event and all that, I had the opportunity to chair the recently State Health Committee, and I received the report for Penang level. We are much higher than the national level. So in terms of active in community sports and also active participation in whatever sporting events, I would say Penang, within the context of Penang, we are still more active compared to our fellow Malaysians from other states. I think that's why one of my biggest challenge in my job is that almost every weekend, Saturday or Sunday without fail, normally I will be up at about 5:30 in the morning, because if I'm not flagging off a run, I will be flagging off a hike, or I will be flagging off a bicycle tournament or somewhere. I think that is one of the key factor that keeps Penangites, because we are quite well known. I mean, throughout the year, week in, week out, especially weekends, there will be a lot of sporting events. In fact, I think last week or last 2 weeks, when I managed to attend one of the event, I was told that at the same time there were 4 runs that were organized together. So we can identify the participants by the color of the shirt that they're wearing. So this one will be the orange group, this one will be the red group, this one will be the blue group. So it is, I would say, a very positive and also a very good atmosphere that we can see here in Penang. And as well, we are, of course, well known with our beautiful hills. And in fact, there were tourists, local domestic tourists, that will come over to Penang to participate in hiking as a part of leisure and also part of their holiday, and also to be active in sports. That is something that we feel very proud, and we hope that this trend will be able to continue, and also to encourage more Penangites to participate in this community level sports event.
Yeah, I completely agree. Especially on weekends, if I'm out early jogging myself, there are really a lot of people running along the streets or along any of the parks by the coast. And not just weekends, I must say, even on weekdays before and after working hours, you can see a lot of people who are really active. And I must say, as a Penangite, I'm super proud of this. And
especially post-pandemic, that is a very good recovery.
Yeah.
In fact, a very positive scene that we see here in Penang.
Yeah, and also the number of hiking trails that we actually have near Penang Hill, and actually a lot of hills in Penang.
Yes.
And I think we're actually quite popular for hiking. And yeah, and also even things like dragon boat. I understand that the dragon boat is actually under the purview of tourism, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. But I mean, it's still a sport.
Yes.
And with like the Penang Bridge Run also, essentially, even though these two are seen as like sports tourism, but I think the point here is that with us holding such international level sporting events. I think that's a very encouraging point. I mean, those are the big ones. And then like you mentioned, every weekend there is something. There's always a heritage walk of sorts in Georgetown.
Fun walk, fun run, yoga, Zumba, everywhere. You name it, there is it.
Yeah, indoor rowing and all that. Yeah, so that's
and in fact, pickleball is something that have catches up recently. So I think in some of the establishment or some of the venue here in Penang, they have started to set up all these pickleball courts So there is a new trend coming up. So perhaps we can monitor and watch out on the growing trend for pickleball as a sports. Yeah.
Yeah. And like we mentioned just now, that sports have always had the unique ability to transcend boundaries and bring people together, whether it is through sporting events or just as a normal daily routine. In your view, how can Penang leverage sports as a tool to foster even regional cooperation and maybe promote peace within the region?
I think sports is a powerful mean to build bridges and to bring people together and, of course, to shape peace. Well, through sport events, we build friendships and draw lines of respect across borders. Say, for example, the recently concluded SUKMA, not only we are competing among the states of within Malaysia, but also we have Brunei Darussalam joining us in the recently concluded SUKMA as well. And I must say that I'm very excited whereby the Ministry of Youth and Sports had just announced yesterday that Malaysia will be hosting the SEA Games 2027 SEA Games together with some of the states that have indicated interest to jointly organize, co-host the SEA Games, namely the Kuala Lumpur, Sabah, Sarawak, and also Penang. We will be part of the co-organizing states that will be hosting the 2027 SEA Games. So, of course, it is a very interesting development that I see, is that we are trying to encourage more and more people to understand sports. I would say that, say for example, some of our great athletes that have represented Penang before, like Datuk Wira Lee Chong Wei and of course Datuk Nico and David. When people, sports fans from other region or other country, they witness their success in some of the major tournaments, they would most probably will try to find out where do they come from. So just a quick check will tell you that Datuk Wira Lee Chong Wei is coming from Penang. I think that builds that interesting situation whereby people would want to understand further where does these great athletes come from. What is so unique about the place that these great athletes come from? I think it is a good thing that we are able to introduce our state of Penang through our great athletes to the other places within the world. And I think that, I would say, sort of build bridges, not only for fans, sport fans from other region, and in exchange, sports fans within Penang as well. Whenever our great athletes travel, they will be traveling to other countries for tournament and all that. So that is where, through all this tournament, we can understand further places, different places within the world and all that. So I think definitely building to foster a good situation and also, of course, to build peace is definitely something sports can achieve. I do believe that say for example the Olympic Games, the Olympic athletes, and in particular through the Olympic Village, breaking down the barriers of cultural differences is actually a very powerful example of peaceful interaction. But then again, if you look at some of the situation post SUKMA, I think everyone is I would say quite amused with the comments, especially on the divers coming from Terengganu. So then again, whenever we talk about sporting events, it might create some controversial discussion about that. But I do sincerely hope that people can look beyond race and religion away from sports. I think sports is a very interesting field that can really play an important role in order for us to unite everyone, regardless of your race, your religion, and all. So we do hope that we will be able to continue to nurture such an environment whereby sports will be a very crucial uniting factor for people across Malaysia.
Yeah, very well said, because I think if we were to ask anyone, any Malaysian, what is the thing which would unite everyone across whatever backgrounds that they are from, is the image of always supporting your country's team at a world sporting event at mama stalls. Actually, that is always the image which comes together. Even in the recent Olympics, I think several videos went viral of people just, strangers basically coming together at restaurants,
Rallying behind our athletes.
Exactly. Yeah, that is sports truly is that one key factor which can bring everyone, strangers together even.
I would like to quote a speech by the Right Honourable Premier of Sarawak, Abang Johari, recently when we had the dinner, celebration dinner for SUKMA. I think one of the things he mentioned, I would say quite rightly, is that when we look up to Datuk Lee Chong Wei, we don't see him as a Chinese. We don't see him as a Penangite. But when he competes representing the country at the Olympics level, we see him as a Malaysian. Same goes with Panalila Rinong. We don't see her as a Bidayu. We don't see her as a Sarawakian. We see her as a Malaysian when she competes at the Olympics level. So that is quite a fascinating, I would say a very fascinating, but a very, I would say, important point all across the board.
Yep. And with that, Daniel, thank you very much for speaking with me today. I've been speaking to YB Daniel Gooi, Penang State Executive Councillor for Youth, Sports and Health. This is Spill the Tea, a podcast by Penang Institute.
Thank you very much. Untuk sukan kita.